Hello everyone. So today we are going to explore how the future of finance is going to be shaped by emerging technologies. For that, a very key aspect to look at is where did this all begin? So the internet began with the advent of sharing data between computers which were disconnected. So data was always there in computers, but the internet is what enabled the sharing of data between computers, and that's where it all started. But the internet is not capable of transferring value at its fundamental layer. That's where it had a limitation. And that's where the next generation of solutions come in that bring the value, the transfer of value on the internet. And that's where, when you want to transfer data or value particularly, ledgers become the backbone of value transfer. Currently, there are ledgers that track transactions in currencies. They're all disconnected, just like the internet was improving the connectivity between disconnected computers. The same way, shared ledgers as a value network are bringing the connectivity for the value economy. So this is what we call as the shared ledger technology. And that's what bringing the power of connectivity onto the value layer of the internet. And that is going to power the big revolution, just like the internet brought in for data. And that is going to happen for financial assets. And that is enabling an explosion of asset automation and transactions using the shared ledger technology. Now, just like internet seemed not very useful until there was a lot of content on the internet. So content is what enabled the internet to become very, very useful. And the more content you had on the internet coming is what created really the revolution and the exponential usage that you see of the internet right now. And similarly, the more and more you tokenize assets on the ledger, on the shared ledger, and the more assets you have represented on the ledger, is the more use case of the ledger you're going to see. And once you have a threshold amount of assets that are tokenized on the ledger, then you're going to see such an explosion that is going to be the dominant force of the ledger solutions for the entire financial system at that point, just like the internet is today. And that's what we call institutional DeFi. As institutions are getting into this decentralized financial ecosystem where a single shared global ledger is used to tokenize real world assets in a compliant and secure manner and create this revolution in finance as a value layer on the internet. What are the benefits of tokenization? It is increasing the inclusivity, since more people can have even fractional ownerships of the assets and participate in the economy, which are not allowed to participate or able to participate before. They're having accessibility and automation. Automation is happening because of the ledger that is used to have interoperability between assets that were not interoperable before. Because you have now a standard to represent assets and transfer assets, have conditional transfer of assets, have smart contracts based on assets. And that's what really creates the innovation using the shared ledger. And the key here is tokenization. That's the term that is used to represent physical assets or digital assets on the shared ledger technology. You would know this technology popularly as the blockchain. Now, the blockchain has also been used as a term called DeFi. Now, that is what institutional DeFi is all about. But DeFi is not generally meant to represent real-world assets. But when we say institutional DeFi, it's talking about real-world assets being represented on the blockchain in a compliant and secure manner. Now, tokenization's potential is enhanced with more assets like land assets, shares, financial instruments, derivatives, all getting tokenized on the shared ledger and getting used by institutions who issue them. And then startups and fintechs can innovate by using the assets and having interoperability and making innovative solutions that did not even exist before or you could not even think of before because you didn't have that capacity as a shared ledger connecting all of them. With liquidity getting increased, it's very much like you have $500,000 as a one entity, like a real estate. But then when you fractionalize it or tokenize it, you can have 1,000 tokens, each of $5,000. And that's what is tokenization all about. Now, what are the benefits of this? It's increasing liquidity, it's increasing fractional ownership, and it's giving a global access and more inclusivity to people. What type of assets can be tokenized really? As I was mentioning, there is shares, there is financial instruments, there is derivatives, anything that a ledger can track essentially. Now the tokenization potential, this is projected to reach $11 trillion economy going forward to 2030. And as different fintechs and startups building on this, there is a lot of potential to tokenize and leverage tokenization on the shared ledger and make solutions using it. Now, what is powering all of this is tokenization of central bank currency that we already have, which is rupees in our case, but in many different countries, they are all tokenizing the central bank currencies like dollars and euros and pounds. Their central banks are working currently to launch the central bank digital currencies. And that has the maximum potential because the ledger is usable to have payments happening as currencies get represented onto it and settlement powered by it only when the official regulator of the country has issued the asset. And this is the race right now. It's the race with the rise of CBDCs, the central bank currencies, which are unlocking all the potential. Because even to have the capabilities of the shared ledger get unlocked, you need the CBDCs to pay for the asset. And that's where the financial automation comes in. And that's where we're bringing in the financial automation landscape, where you have conditional payments happening with CBDCs for an asset. Let's say to purchase a share. You have a conditional share transfer. You have a payment and that's automated with a CBDC getting the payment for it. And that's the critical piece that central banks are providing us right now. Indian Digital Central Bank has already launched the digital rupee with 17 banks right now. And that is the revolution that's happening. Now they are bringing the programmability. That's what CBDC really does to payments. You will see there is, if you go in the App Store right now, in the Indian App Store, you just search digital rupee, you'll get 5 different apps by 5 different banks offering central bank digital currency. Now your startups can be leveraging that to build different solutions on top of it. Now, what is the revolution really happening if you already had UPI? Because if you see, we already have UPI, and that's a big question. If UPI is already there, then what is CBDC really bringing? There are different types of innovative payment solutions that can be created with CBDCs that we have been working upon with CBDCs. And that is, you can divide payments into a lot of criteria that this table I have provided here shows. There are micro payments that are possible. There are streaming payments that are possible. There are conditional payments that are possible and automated payments that are possible. Micro payments on the internet are payments of amount less than $1. And that is what powers a data economy that can happen with CBDCs. Streaming payments are to stream payments just like you stream data on the internet. Conditional payments is to write conditions for the payment to happen. Automated payments are scheduled payments. And all of this is powered with the central bank digital currency that is programmable. Now this, when it is rising, you're having a new standard created. But this is the central bank creating the tokens. If you look at the layers of money, that's the M0 layer of money. But then there is the M1 layer of money, which is by banks. Now banks have got deposits. And deposits can get tokenized. Fixed deposits that are locked right now can be used in a smart contract to prove that you have this money amount of fixed deposit and you can get a loan on top of it. You can get a credit on top of it. And you can have liquidity with that and build other layers of solutions as fintechs using those fixed deposits as tokenized amounts to show these are the different use cases of payments. You can use the fixed deposit for payments itself. You can use it for settlement and trading. You can use it as collateral for escrow payments, for holding conditional payments, and for liquidity, for guarantees. What could guarantee look like? You have a fixed deposit that is essentially showing that you have this much amount in your bank account, and with that you have a credit. You can avail a credit from another bank because you have the proof that you have this much of deposits with you. Now, these are the use cases, and with this, you can even go into different sectors and verticals into specific niches, like you can go into time-locked contract to create trusts for children. You can go into goal-based savings. Let's say you have a goal of achieving some kind of spending criteria later on. Let's say you're saving for your children, children's education. You can have goal-based criteria for making savings of fixed deposits. You can go into escrow services. That's very critical. Between different businesses where trust is needing to be established. And trust is where blockchain again comes in as a shared ledger. Because you have the escrow locking in the money as the fixed deposit between the entities that are interacting, and it can only get unlocked with the condition, when the payment conditions are satisfied. So this is what really automation of finance is all about. And this is where the DeFi is at the core of it, the decentralized finance. And the shared ledger that powers all of it, that connects all of it, is at the core. Now, there is another term that you will come across. The reason why I mentioned the term shared ledger and not a distributed ledger technology, which you will hear by many people, is that distributed ledgers fragment into multiple ledgers, and you lose the benefits of a shared ledger in the first place. And you're back to a system that exists already right now with different ledgers disconnected all across the world, and they're not shared. If the ledgers are not shared, it's like the internet revolution came, but you are going back to the system where the computers are there which are disconnected. And you're not unlocking the value of connected computers. Just like that, you're not unlocking the value of a shared ledger. And that's where the beauty of the globally shared ledger comes in. And that's what our vision is of the financial future, a connected future, where shared ledgers, tokenization, CBDCs, and DeFi, the decentralized finance, can all be powered and come together to create the new financial ecosystem. We at Timechain Labs are pioneering the digital economy transformation with financial automation. We are building no-code, low-code platforms for programmable CBDC, programmable wrappers for what is issued to you as digital rupees right now, and that are issued on the blockchain, and you can have programmability on top of CBDCs. CBDC currently in India that is issued doesn't have programmability. You can have programmability with the wrappers we have built. We have built deposit token platform for banks, and that can be used by you guys to develop solutions by different banks. And we power all of it using the ESP blockchain, which is a highly scalable blockchain. And that creates and solves the problem of the fundamental problem that existed in the ecosystem of blockchain scalability. And this helps you develop solutions. I would welcome you to meet us at booth G6 and partner with us to develop the financial automation ecosystem. Thank you so much.